Hello. Doing this video about thinking atheists. Um, Currently at present, today, 7th of the 12th, 2013. Um, thinking atheists have done 252 videos, and this one that I'm going to be talking about is called "The Story of Suzie." So basically, it starts off by saying he's talking about Jesus and Suzie, about they pray to Jesus, and also I think he said every night or every day they Suzie prays for the food to be blessed, like after it's been slaughtered and eaten and freshly prepared. Basically, I know he's going through some graphic details about how the food was prepared and that. Um, Basically, the reason why Christians bless their food is because it's to protect us from harm. It protects us from harm from basically somebody, like, because you got people that put dodgy stuff in foods across the board anywhere around the world. For example, I think it was this year 2013 that 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 the news that BBC News discovered that there was horse meat in some of the meats that we eat, in some of the meats that we eat, like cheap food, like really cheap food, like they were coming from shops, from Tesco's, um like I think Asda was one of them. I'm not sure about Morrison's. So they were coming from shops like that, and also a few years back, there was some stuff that was in the burgers that we eat, that was making people ill, and it was actually killing people. People were actually dying because of the food that they were eating with the burgers, because there was something in the burgers that was making people ill. I'm not sure if it was I can't remember what they call it. I can't remember what they call it. I'm not um basic Yeah, so like I said, it was making people die, and this was what was on BBC News a few years ago. Um so so that's the reason why we bless our food each time. Every food that comes in our mouth, we bless it, and make sure we bless it, and God is obedient to that in blessing it, to make sure the food doesn't harm us, to harm Christians. So that's why we bless the food each time before we eat. Um. So yeah, that's. I'll just pause the video, and I'll explain the other parts. Okay, in the same in moving on from where we left off, it explains about how Susie prayed for people to be comforted, blessed, and for basically to evil to be put away, and also for evil to be basically just for peace on the world, and for calm on the world. Um, so that's what they were portraying on Thinking Atheist. They were saying that Susie was praying for peace, and world peace, basically, no harm to anyone. And then it said later on in the video that when Susie woke up the next morning, people were shooting, gunning, people killing each other, slaughtering each other. Natural disasters were happening. I don't think natural disasters was in this bit, but it might be later on. So there was all sorts of evil that was going on, and the guy that was talking about Susie was saying that although Susie prayed for these things to stop, the next morning she woke up, they're all still the same. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Everything's still the same. Everything is exactly the same as it was before. But the problem with that is we have to understand is that the devil is out there, and the devil is in charge of this world. The devil rules over this world, and what it is that out of human beings' free will, they choose out of human beings' free will, because everybody has free will. Every human being that has ever walked the planet has free will, and because of that, some people choose evil, some people choose good, um, and because they chose evil, this is what happens. This is what happens. The um the natural disasters, the not well the natural disasters is because of people sinning, but because of people's free will, this is why disaster happens. This is why people are killing one another. This is why problems won't go away, because of people's free will, because they decide, they freely choose to do evil, freely choose to do evil, freely choose to cause chaos and havoc in people's lives, in good people's lives, in genuine people's lives. That's the reason why that there's still evil going around even to this present day. That is why. So I'll okay, just one moment. So in this next part of the video, about the story of Suzie, um, basically they basically said that Suzie got sick, and she prayed for healing. She had to pay for the doctors, and she had to she had to get a jab, and she took weeks to recover. Sometimes with Christianity is that God heals us quickly. Sometimes God heals us instantaneously. God heals us, and sometimes God can heal us over a period of weeks. And so either way, God will heal you. Um, um, I mean, you can't. I mean, there are certain things. What thinking atheist is doing is that they're tapping into things that Christians cannot understand. So they're tapping into that, and because we can't understand it, they thinking atheist thinks that it's not there's no God. There can't be any God. So so there are certain things that Christian, because God is so wide, so vast, so big, so humongous, so large, so ever present, ever omniscient. There are things that Christians just genuinely can't understand, and there are certain things that Christians can understand, and that's why the thinking atheists are tapping into things that we can't, that genuine Christians can't understand. That's what, and so they're tapping into what we can't understand, thinking atheists, and they're tapping into genuine things that genuine Christians, that Bible believing Christians, that can't understand. That's what thinking atheists is tapping into, and trying to sort of like say there can't be a God, there just can't be a God. Um, when in actual fact there is a God, but it's just that they don't quite understand it, or they once believed, and they just they just got tired of waiting on God, and then the enemy just came in there and just deceived them, and just put a did something that they don't that made them not believe. So I'll carry on. Also, when it says in the video about Suzie, saying that when her ear heard no audible answers, she yeah, she just simply guessed, and then she got the answer. That's not really the right way to go about that's not really the way Christians go about finding and demanding things, because um praying is not about demanding stuff, and then expecting it to happen to us straight away in the exact way we pray. Some things that we pray for, we can't always get an answer to, and sometimes the reason why we don't get an answer to, sometimes when we pray for things, and we get an and we don't and we sometimes when we pray for things and we don't get an answer to it, sometimes it's just down to our heart condition, the way how the because so if we're praying for things if we're praying for things for selfish reasons, then we won't get an answer to the prayer. If we're praying for things in a humble way, in a in a in when we pray for things, and we're seeking God's will in it, and we are what I mean by seeking God's will is basically asking God what He wants me to do in this situation, not what I want to do in this, not what I want to happen in this situation. But it's a case of It's a case of not being selfish when it's a case of not being selfish when you pray for things. It's a case of just being it's a case of being selflessness in what we're praying for. What I mean by selflessness is that what I mean by selflessness, what I mean is basically not thinking about yourself when you're praying for something, not thinking selfishly. So thinking of thinking of somebody else other than yourself. Because when as Christians, and with God's character, when we pray for things, when we pray for things for other people, sometimes God will bless us when we pray for other people. When we're not thinking of ourselves, when we're not thinking of ourselves, God will bless us when we're praying for other people. And sometimes God will just, we just do something else different that's not exactly what we want, but sometimes it will help us in what we're after eventually, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is that say for instance something as little, because God provides for things. God provides for the simple things, even just for a keyboard. So, like, for example, basically, if we're praying for a house, or we're praying for a car to be fixed, something as simple as something as simple and just as something as simple as that, or something just unnecessary as that, God will provide for it. Uh, but if we so by doing that, by praying for those things like the car or the house to be fixed, if we like pray for other people, or if we do something for somebody else, God will bless us and like either get the car fixed, or sometime in the future get the car fixed, or instantaneously or later on that we need that when we need something, God will fix it for us because we've helped somebody else. If yeah, so uh maybe the last bit basically about the story of Susie. It talks about basically the natural disasters and diseases. Like I said before, natural disasters is about people not obeying God, living in sin because of sin. That's why God has that's why there's natural disasters because of sin. Um, the bit where it talks about vaccine and the bit where it talks about vaccine and also diseases is the fact that all the time um diseases happen all over the world because of rich people, or or it could be rich people or people just not willing enough to put money into put money in their pocket, put their hand in their pocket and give to the poor. I'm not saying all rich people are like selfish and don't want to help others. I'm just saying like the whole government could like come together, put money towards things and just help the needy, because all these diseases can be cured. All these diseases, they have vaccine for all of these diseases. Um what else? I know they say there's no there's a bit there is a little bit of vaccine for AIDS and sexual diseases, but it will stop it from it will stop them from dying quickly. But God can heal completely. God can heal people completely from diseases, but that's if well you have to believe it as well. Um, so like I said, yeah. Um, mm, okay, yeah. So I'll finish there and I'll talk to you guys and ladies another time. And as always, just stay watching, stay clicked, and peace.